Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Between the Numbers podcast. We've just finished week 14 and we are heading into the last three games of the season, with week 15 coming up. There's been a lot of news this week. Obviously, we had the extension for Jeff Fisher last week on the podcast, which we talked about. And lo and behold, he's got himself fired after the Rams were brutally destroyed by the... who was it?
Falcons.
By the Falcons, yeah. By the Falcons. It was 42-14?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive stuff, really. And I'm pretty sure the Rams only got their 14 points in the last quarter. Anyway, so he has been sacked, which has been leading to a bunch of head coaches being touted to replace him. Probably most notably Jim Harbaugh, Michigan head coach, obviously ex-San Francisco 49er head coach. He's the number one option right now, apparently, but we're not too sure about that one on this podcast yet. Other news: Adrian Peterson's returned to practice. Michael Floyd has been waived by the Arizona Cardinals following his DUI arrest. I mean, the Cardinals do that pretty well. I mean, they don't really wait about to see what the league will do, because the league has their suspension protocol as well. So he's going to at least miss 2 games, but the Cardinals just been like, nah, see ya.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're going to talk about our games this week. We've both got 3 games. And then on to our predictions. And it's getting to the latter part of the season, which is really exciting for playoff time.
Yeah. We both did really well on predictions last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you went 11-5 and I went 13-3.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, not bad at all.
Yeah,
interesting to see what the final scores will be.
Yeah.
Whenever we count that up.
Those will be counted up at some point.
Yeah, true. Right. Anyway, first of all, Jeff Fisher, thoughts?
Not that surprised. Like the extension that we ended up finding out that the extension that they did announce was actually signed in the summer, so it wasn't like they signed an extension and then a week later they were like, no, screw you. But I felt like it was inevitable, seeing how badly they played all year, and especially the offense just looked so terrible and so lackluster and really, really dull to watch. But it's interesting that they fire him kind of a month before the season ends, which is good for them in a way, because it puts them ahead of the curve in terms of looking for a coach, because if you still have a coach in place, you can't really interview other people, so it means they can get ahead of the game. Maybe gives them a chance to reach out to big names. Like you said, the one big name that keeps being put out there is Jim Harbaugh. I would say it's more likely that the Titans go to the AFC Championship game than Jim Harbaugh ends up the Rams head coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they're not even winning their division right now.
Yeah. The only thing that would, I think, even money, because he's getting paid about 6 to 8 million a year at Michigan at the moment.
Yeah, I thought it was like 8 million.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like Jack Del Rio's on 3.5 million a year for the Raiders, and there are like 8 or 9 head coaches in college who are on more money than Jack Del Rio. So, it's just that weird swing in this period of time where it's been like, college football, you can go make your money there, sure. You can make an impact, sure, and I hope that's what Jim Harbaugh is looking to do there. But, it needs to be like a lucrative number for someone to come away from that. And, yeah, we were talking before on the podcast, especially with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, there's a kind of sentiment that he's not really finished there. I mean, he hasn't won a national title yet. And they're not in the playoffs for this year.
No, they just missed out of the playoff this year because they lost to Ohio State last week.
I think he needs to batter Ohio State a couple of times before he comes back to. Although I do think that if there was a more lucrative one, a more enticing job for him to come into, then he might step in, Jim Harbaugh. But yeah, the Rams right now, it's not the one that he wants, really.
Yeah, I think if this had maybe come 5 years down the line, he would have maybe considered it. But he's literally just left the NFL. For him, Michigan was always a dream job as well, because he went there. He went to university there, so he has quite an emotional attachment to them. And I think it's one of his big aims in his career that he wants to bring a national championship there. So I think, unless the Rams, they would literally have to offer him 20 million a year or something.
Yeah, fair enough. You'd take that if you give him 20 million a year. All right.
Yeah. Another name that got put out, because the Rams claim that they want a headline, big name coach. The other one that got put out there is John Gruden, who currently does the
Monday Night Football.
Monday
for
Night Football.
ESPN.
He's been doing that for ages. I think he's been doing it for too long to get out of there and go be a head coach again. I think he's too comfortable there.
I heard apparently that they need to hit his magic number of 8 million.
Wow.
8 million a year, which, to be fair, it's not like out of the Rams' price range right now.
Yeah, they have a really rich owner who said he's willing to break the bank to get a decent coach.
And that'll be really interesting because obviously we know how good John Gruden is with I mean, have you seen in the off season? There's like his quarterback camp thing where he gets like the top quarterback prospects from this year's draft and talks to them and everything. So he kind of already knows a little bit about Jared Goff and he understands a little bit about that. And he's probably one of the best people to mentor him in the upcoming years as well. Albeit with some other names in the list as well, you got to have you could definitely see them doing well for Jared Goff.
I'd say maybe one guy who I've seen like one of the smaller names who could be a prospect. Maybe they go down a different option instead of doing the thing where you hire like a big time offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Maybe there's this guy called David Shaw who's currently head coach at Stanford, and he's got a special teams background. And maybe there's been a few people saying that maybe they hire him and do kind of what the Patriots did in New England, what the Ravens did in Baltimore, where you hire a guy who's more special teams coordinated, who's more of an overseer on everything, and then you hire really good offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and have the head coach more of an overseer, which could work really well. But
he was offensive coordinator for the entire tenure of Jim Harbaugh for the San Francisco for the
but he also has special teams background.
Yeah, true. I'm just letting you know. I was like, if he's the offensive coordinator for that team who made it all the way to the Super Bowl, he's basically one of the people who brought Colin Kaepernick into prevalence. So
yeah,
possibly, I'm liking it.
Yeah, I mean he's head coach at Stanford at the moment, so it's not going to be like a massive big move for him to go out to LA. Mm-hmm. So
there are a lot of I am expecting a lot of changes at the end of this season in the NFL. There are a lot of teams who I think will be looking to move on from their head coach.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Gus Bradley is going to be out the door.
I think Gus Bradley. And then I also think maybe Todd Bowles of the Jets, but he's had a little bit of a tough time.
Yeah.
There, but I could probably see him maybe moving because unless they can't have another season like this. Yeah. Unless he moves on and finds himself a quarterback and pays someone money. I mean, I can see something saving his job as being pay Tony Romo or something, and Tony Romo comes over and then or something like that, or Jay Cutler or something. Just another last throw of the dice before he's maybe out of
it in and going again.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I think I think one of the really good jobs that I reckon is going to open up is going to be Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they've got some decent running backs. I think Alshon Jeffrey is probably going to leave free agency. But maybe the option of having Kevin White and then a really high draft pick to pick a decent quarterback. I think their defense is actually really good.
They have a sound defense. Just their offense is lacking in many places right now.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from Alshon Jeffrey, and it looks that he's likely to move. We know Kevin White's been hurt with injuries and that, but he's a very promising player. But the rest of that offense isn't the passing game at least isn't up to scratch really.
Yeah.
Been a bit of an overhaul there, so we'll see. Yeah, I mean the Jay Cutler probably won't be there. We might not be there. I'm not really sure. But we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, so exciting! Can't wait for Black Monday.
Also, yeah, I think Chip Kelly will be finding himself a new gig.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I don't really see it as.
Maybe Jim Harbaugh makes a surprise return to San Francisco.
And then takes them back to the playoffs.
Ooh.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, there are some other teams who are underperforming, but because of how well they've did in previous years, I doubt they're gonna get rid of their head coach.
Yeah.
Namely the Cardinals, Panthers, and the Bengals. Really.
Yeah, I think Marvin Lewis. He's got one more year left on his contract in Cincinnati, and I could see him maybe seeing out that final year and then maybe retiring at the end.
Retiring?
Yeah.
Okay. How old is Marvin Lewis?
I'll
do that.
Not that old, but I think
he's 58.
Yeah, and he's been there a while, and I think
head coach from 2003. Wow.
Yeah.
That is a long time to be at Cincinnati.
Never won a playoff game.
as assistant coach, Super Bowl champion when the Ravens beat the Giants. Well, okay, sorry, that was definitely not anything to do with. Right. Anyway, should we get on to some of our news? Or actually, I'm not really sure if there's news this week. Much.
Apart from the London games for next year got announced,
Oh yeah,
it's a
we
pretty
were
terrible
talking
lineup
about
this year.
yeah. We're not so sold on any. Like, I'm still trying to get tickets to go to the game for
Yeah.
sure, but like, yeah, they're not that great. It's not going to be well. Let's go over to the games which have been announced. And there's one which I'm actually quite excited for. I mean, so basically, there's 4 games this year, and the first set of games is going to be played at Wembley. Will be the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously, against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, for this game, I'm really confused because is it the Jags? They're not home in this game, or if
They should be home.
Okay. Maybe I've just got like a different layout here, but yeah. So that's happening. Then the Dolphins are playing the New Orleans Saints, which is probably the game I'm most excited for. And Dolphins versus the Saints is quite a boring game.
Yeah.
So the Browns.
It's not.
Yeah, the Browns are coming. So the Browns and the Vikings go to Twickenham, home of England rugby. So we're playing there, and also Los Angeles Rams return again for the second straight year, and they are playing the Arizona Cardinals. So it means like Larry Fitzgerald will be there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean that'd be quite cool to see him. David Johnson, obviously, like a really good running back there as well. But none of these games are very exciting.
In terms of stars, there's plenty of stars that are going to be coming over. There's like big name players on all of those teams.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But
I mean, like,
in terms of like an actual, like, if you're just a casual fan, then I'm sure you look forward to the prospect of seeing someone like Adrian Peterson play. But
I do like how they've brought the Dolphins. They're bringing the Dolphins because they already have a huge like UK following, and also with JHI, how they're going to play off that whole he was born in London thing. That's definitely the only reason why the Dolphins are there.
Yeah.
They're like,
I could just see all the headlines on
like,
Sky Sports now.
They could bring the Panthers over because we have Graham Gano, like he was born in Scotland, so that's kind of a thing, but it's not really the same. But yeah.
Well, Panthers are one of 5 teams that have never played in London.
I know. I'm kind of annoyed. I really want to go see them, but I'm assuming they'll be coming soon because they better be.
They apparently I was reading about this. Apparently, the teams do have a lot of power whether they choose to go to London or not.
Mm-hmm.
That I think I was telling you before the show, the Packers have repeatedly turned down going to London because they don't want to go. Like the Seahawks as well. Apparently, they've been turning it down quite a lot as well. They don't want to go to London.
The Seahawks. To be fair, the Seahawks all the way over to London. That is a huge journey. I mean, the Rams making it for 2 years in a row, and so do the Cardinals. But like, it's still a huge journey, and like. Yeah. That time change. I mean, like, you do need that bye week afterwards. But maybe they'll pull the Colts and then just be like, no, we don't need it. Don't worry.
Screw it. But to be fair, like, if they could do it, and then if they were playing on the East Coast the next week.
Yeah, I mean, you could, because that's only, 5 hours behind us. So, I mean, possibly it could be that, yeah. I mean, it's very, very achievable. But I'm not too sure. I mean, the games aren't that exciting. I mean, they could have had like any other NFC North matchup. I mean, an NFC North matchup would be pretty good. I'd quite like to see that. Like, say if you got the Bears over, I'd enjoy seeing the Bears. I mean, like a storied franchise like them.
Yeah, with a decent following as well. Like teams that got like I would really love it if the Patriots came back over.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, you have. I mean, like I remember, like when some of the highlights when the Patriots were over was like the whole Gronk spike thing and the and the 10. I mean, you got a lot of playmakers and it's interesting. I mean, the Browns could be exciting because of the kind of dimension that they play. If RG3's their quarterback, but I was saying none of these quarterbacks are gonna excite you very much in the running game. They're not like a dual. None of these are dual threat. I mean, maybe Teddy Bridgewater might be okay. But I doubt it. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings is a pretty stacked team, so that's exciting. You get to maybe see Adrian Peterson, obviously, and then that defense is very, very good as well. And obviously, I'm excited for Baltimore Ravens to come to town, so I can see Eric Weddle. So I would definitely get an Eric Weddle t-shirt for that. Yeah, I totally would. Yeah. Anyway, we should probably stop talking about this and move on because we have some games to talk about. you want to go ahead and pick up one of the games you're on about this week?
Yeah, so I'm just going to do this one quickly because it wasn't. But the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. So the Steelers won 27-20. I'd say it's pretty much pushed the Bills out of the playoffs now. They've gone to 6-7, and the Steelers are right back in it now. And after the Ravens lost to the Patriots in Monday Night Football, the Steelers take back the lead in the AFC North. Let me just check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, they're
so they're 8-5. So they're a game ahead now. But I thought this was really good because like the Steelers are so good at towards the end of the season, kind of kicking off and really getting their offense going, and we really saw that on Sunday against the Bills. Like they really leaned on Le'Veon Bell massively, and Ben Roethlisberger still looks like he's got a few problems. He hasn't really been the top quarterback he could be this season. He only had 220 yards and he threw 3 interceptions, which is really worrying from a Steelers fan's point. Well, I'm not a Steelers fan, but if you are a Steelers fan, that's worrying for you. But I mean, if Le'Veon Bell can rush for 236 yards, score 3 touchdowns, and also have 62 receiving yards, I mean, you're pretty much sorted on that point. I mean,
the Steelers are definitely one of the teams you got to watch out for in the playoffs because when it comes to them, they can turn it on whenever it is.
And they're such an experienced franchise. They know they've been in every single scenario in terms of playoffs, so they'll know what to do. But no, they play. I thought their defense was something that really impressed me. A lot of those young guys who they've been drafting over the years really came through. Standout players to me were Ryan Shazier. I thought he looked really well. Looked really good. William Gay is doing really well. They've kind of moved in slightly further back in the secondary, and I think he's kind of adjusted that really well. And on the other side, the secondary, the guy they picked this year, Artie Burns, he's looked really, really good. He had an interception this week. So like if the Steelers have got a good defense, I trust that they'll do well because that's just how they've always played. They've always played with good defenses. And if Le'Veon Bell can keep playing how he is, I think they'll do fine, and I trust them to reach the playoffs. I thought the Ravens showed a lot of deficiencies against the Patriots that I think will come back and haunt them later on in the season. But I think the Steelers, they do have a potential trap game against the Bengals this week, which could maybe hamper their chances.
There's the big game next week with the Ravens taking on the Steelers in the AFC North.
Yeah, that's going to be
so that's going to be it's a Sunday night game, so obviously prime time they got to go on, and it's going to be a huge game for that division because even though the Steelers are ahead 8-5 right now, to the Ravens 7-6, the Ravens are 4-0 in the division. So if they can keep it up with another win against the Steelers, I mean they'll have that advantage.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that game. Just wanted to quickly touch on it.
Yeah, no. One game I'll quickly touch on this week is the Arizona Cardinals who went to Miami to take on the Dolphins. This game I always find that I find that I'm talking about the Dolphins a lot recently, just because I'm really liking how how it's all coming together. Really, I mean Ryan Tannehill is making some very good. He had a very good run of games recently. I mean, he threw for 3 touchdowns, 1 interception yesterday for 195 yards. But he also picked up 20 yards on the ground, showing he's kind of a little bit of a dual threat there. So I think he's always in the same category as Alex Smith, but just a little bit above him because everyone kind of expects Ryan Tannehill to maybe be able to run.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't really expect that from Alex Smith, but you get the same kind of mobile quarterback there. But for the Dolphins, I mean, this is a test. Obviously, this is the Cardinals, the team that went to the AFC Championship last year. I mean, it's a much more a depleted team, and it could be Michael Floyd's last ever game. But for Carson Palmer, it's pretty been a regression this season. Throwing for two touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But I mean, obviously the bright spark on the Cardinals side is David Johnson. I mean, he looks to be one of the best dual threat running backs in the league. I think he's great at catching the ball out of the backfield. And I think that's something which, like the man opposite to him on the other side of the field, for the Miami Dolphins, Jay Ajayi, who we've had as great patches in this season. Something he could pick up from David Johnson, definitely be running out, receiving out of the backfield. But for the Dolphins, they're kind of hitting their stride right now. I think I can't remember how many games it is on the trot that they've gone.
They lost the week before quite severely to the Ravens, though.
I do have that, yeah. But I mean, for the last fair few weeks, I mean, They're like, wow. I'm just going back here. So if we go back to week 9, they've only lost one game. So they've picked up one.
Pretty good. I mean, they'll have to find a way to survive. I mean, they won't have Ryan Tannehill.
They've got a tricky. But I mean, they are playing the Jets this week. So I mean, that's probably quite a good game to come up against. Even though the Jets won last week, it's probably one of the teams you'd rather play because their play is pretty poor.
Yeah, it's a good team to play now.
Didn't they sign TJ Yates?
Yeah, I think so because Tannehill's out for the regular season.
Yeah, here we go. So TJ Yates and Matt Moore will be playing for it. But I mean, Adam Gates, he does have he's very good with the quarterback, and I think he can definitely coach whoever he picks. Up to definitely win over the Jets. I feel. The Bills again, that could be an issue one, and then obviously the last game they have against the Patriots, which could be a very interesting one because it could be the Patriots could be still going for number 1 seed or whatever, or it could be that they'll get the number 2 seed and they're happy with that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting. Couple weeks, 3 weeks coming up for the Dolphins.
Well, if the Dolphins go 2-1 in those games, that takes them to 10-6, and I think that should be enough to get them into the playoffs.
I mean, right now they are number 7 seed in the AFC. But you have the 5th seed being the Raiders with their 10-3 cat. So I don't think they're going to get 5th seed. But the 6th seed is still up for grabs. Obviously, with the Broncos, the Ravens, or the Steelers, or however you want to call that. I mean, the Texans and the Titans also pulling in. So I think there's a few teams that come around and go into it. But the Dolphins definitely in for a big shot here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the not having Ryan Tannehill, I think I don't think they should treat this in a way that they've just currently lost a star player. So I don't think they should. Don't think they should rush him back because I think
I doubt their like game plan's going to change that much.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got JJ there. I mean, it's going to be a bit tough against the Jets' run defense, as we know. Like the Jets have one of the best like run defenses in the league, so it's going to be a very interesting game. But one that I do expect the Dolphins to pull through.
Definitely.
I think that's all I want to talk about for that bit.
Yeah, sweet. All right, I'll move on to my next game, which is an NFC East matchup.
Oh wow, you doing NFC East? No way.
I know. I thought I'd give them a bit of coverage. I thought they were lacking a bit. I mean, they only had one primetime game this week, so I feel like they're not getting the coverage they deserve.
And you're not even talking about that primetime game.
No, I mean it was maybe. So I'm going to talk about the Redskins at Eagles, where the Redskins won 27-22. It was a really close game in the end. The Eagles they pushed them right to the limit the big highlight, I think, that was a knockout blow to the Eagles was in the third quarter where Deshaun Jackson, former Philadelphia Eagle, caught an 80-yard pass from Kirk Cousins to score a touchdown. And I think that really took the life out of the Eagles. They managed to hang around for the rest of the game after that, but they looked like a different team after that. They were seriously struggling. And I think Carson Wentz is showing that he's a rookie. That's basically it, that he's really inexperienced. He did have 314 yards and a touchdown, but he did throw an interception. He got sacked 4 times. And I think those 4 sacks are where the problems lie. His mobility in the pocket was completely different to how it was at the start of the season, where he was avoiding sacks really well and running around quite a lot, and he just looks so lost in the pocket. Every time it collapses, he just panics and gets sacked, which I think is they're going to have to sort that out in the off season. But we're giving him stick because he played so well at the start of the season, but he is a rookie, and he's a rookie coming out of a small college who have never had a quarterback drafted in the first round. So he's got a lot of leeway in terms of time and it takes him to develop. But on the other side, Kirk Cousins is keeping on this kind of trajectory of going up at them. I mean, he had a pass rating of 116. He only threw for 234 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. And he just looks so brilliant at the moment. I mean, he's that deep ball threat that he's been able to do. It's been so good. He's shown by that amazing touchdown from Deshaun Jackson. And I still think, I mean, the Redskins are just doing what they've been doing all season, which is just quietly winning games.
Because they're not very exciting. They're just going through. I mean,
they're just methodically going through and winning games and kind of sticking around. And I think
it's
they'll be around there until the final, until maybe potentially the last week of the season.
it's going to be tough for them, yeah. But
I mean, I still put them as a team that I think will make the playoffs. I think they will get in over the Giants. I still,
oh wow, really?
yeah. I mean, I'm not highly convinced by the Giants yet because their offense is still just looking so bad, and considering the players they have on offense to play so badly at the moment, it's a bit worrying for me.
The Giants do play the Redskins in Washington in Week 17, so it all could come down to that.
That's going to be such a good game. But no, yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins is getting a huge deal next season. He's really proven that he can be the number one guy in Washington, along with Donald Trump. Him and hanging out together, being the number one guy.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I could potentially see because Washington have a lot of receiving contracts coming up to free agency this year. I can think maybe a possibility of Deshaun Jackson returning to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I read about this. It'd be a really weird move, but if they
it would be a weird move because I think you're more likely to do something within the Washington. I mean, you're more likely to make the playoffs with Washington.
Yeah,
but
I mean, if they given the right amount of money,
you're more
and
likely to like get a championship like challenging team.
Yeah,
I mean, neither of these two teams are there, and for Deshaun Jackson's career, I mean, like if he wants to go back to Philly. I mean, with Carson Wentz just coming through. I mean, he is 30, so he maybe has. It depends on how long he can keep his that pace for. But you know, he can go back to Philly if he chooses to. I mean, like the Philly fans love him.
Yeah.
It would be a very interesting maneuver, but I could see it happening.
Oh, yeah, it'd be good for him, and I think it'd be good for Philly. Definitely really good for Philly, seeing as they have zero receivers that Carson Wentz is throwing to at the moment.
Yeah.
So to go from nothing to throwing to Deshaun Jackson would be a pretty sweet step up for them.
True. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Picking up for the Washington Redskins, they got some interesting games coming up. They got a crunch game against the Panthers on Monday Night Football this week. The return of Josh Norman. Well, not really the return. I mean, we're going to his new home.
Oh, he's invited you. He's invited you over.
But then the Redskins play the Bears, so I mean, possibly a W there. I mean, with the Panthers, we're not really fighting for anything. I mean, we're probably fighting to get everyone else in our division out of the playoffs. I mean,
yeah.
That's all we're going for right now, I guess.
Well, how's that going for you?
I mean, we're 1-3, so it's not really that well in the division. But I mean, like, if we pick up our 2 extra wins, I mean, we play we pick up wins, get the Falcons, stop them, or in week 17 we play the Bucks. If we stop either of those two, that could be a win-win. I mean, I'd rather stop the Falcons really, because I like the Bucks. Yeah, but anyway, interesting couple of games for the Washington Redskins coming up, and it could all come down to that final game for the in the season when they host the Giants.
Yeah, that will be a cracking game.
Right, I'm just going to quickly move on to one of my games. So I'm going to cover Thursday Night Football, where the Oakland Raiders traveled down to Kansas City to take on, the Chiefs, and I mean Tyreek Hill obviously had. Basically, he had that huge punt return, where the whole crowd, even before the punt was taken, was chanting his name. They were chanting Tyreek, and he gives them whatever he wants. I mean, he runs it all the way back for a touchdown, and he's a 78-yard punt return, and they also caught a 36-yard pass from Alex Smith, is very. Like under the radar, Alex Smith. He's just like going like no one talks about him. Like he's not the one you're going to talk about is making a huge difference maker to this team. But it could really happen. And I mean, Travis Kelce's obviously having a really good spell. His game where he picked up five receptions for 101 yards. And I'm not sure if you see it, but on the Tyreek Hill punt touchdown return. Travis Kelce, you know how Marquise King, the punter for the Raiders, he did like a kind of like on a horse celebration last week. After the touchdown return, Travis Kelce goes right in his face and does the exact same celebration he did, which I rated a lot. I thought that was quite funny. But yeah, for this game, the Raiders really, I think, got stopped by the defense. as you can see with Derek Carr, who some people are still touting up for MVP level. I mean, MVP throwing no touchdowns and throwing for 117 yards
It was cold.
in a game. Oh, it was cold, really? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
like, he
Sorry, it
spent
wasn't
his
in
whole career
Oakland.
playing in
Sorry,
California.
it wasn't in Oakland. My bad.
Hey, come on, like
This is the thing. Like, if the Raiders, like, this is the team. Look, this is the one issue I have with like teams like Minnesota having
Yeah.
like a dome. You play in Minnesota. It's meant to be cold. You guys train in the cold. You train in that. So if you get a home playoff game against some little bitch ass team from the south who don't have snow, you're clearly gonna be favored there. Like the
Yeah.
Dolphins aren't gonna want to come to you and play. I mean, not the Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins are not playing there, but like. In the NFC, the Saints aren't going to want to come to play to you. The Panthers will be like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand. Any team in the South. The Dallas Cowboys will probably be like, I don't understand this snow business. And then you got the Rams. Anyone in the apart from the Seahawks.
Patriots.
Anyone in the in the NFC.
oh, okay.
You basically got but I mean just for
Well, you got
yeah.
the whole of the NFC North.
Yeah,
Apart
but-
from
they
the Lions who play in a dome.
Yeah, but they're in the north though. Like it's not going to be better against like other northern teams, is it? They also play in snow.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's true. Like, I think it was really stupid by the Vikings to build. Like, the stadium looks really cool, but they've taken the
awesome
one
stadium.
thing away that they have an
I've got,
advantage.
it's my stadium for my Madden team, but terrible idea. Anyway, getting back to this game, Derek Carr, not really that great a game to be honest. Although Latavius Murray, he just doesn't seem like a good running back, but he always picks up so many yards. I
Yeah.
mean, against that Kansas City defense, one of the best defenses there is, running for getting 100 yards, you're doing well.
I think that the Latavius Murray, it's a case of similar to Dallas, where the offensive line in Oakland is so good that you could
The offensive line is
stick
pretty good.
anyone there. Like, and I think if they ever like Dallas had done, where you get a good running back like a Zeke Elliott, and I think they could run the table in Oakland.
I mean, sorry, it could be a huge thing for Oakland if they do get a big running back, but they're kind of very solid now with Latavius Murray and just being like, we can totally hand the ball off to him and he'll pick up some yards.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's doing fine. I mean, I think this game for Oakland. I mean, yes, they lost it, and yes, Derek Carr didn't play that well, but I mean, Chiefs are a really good team, and they're so
Yeah,
difficult to
Chiefs
beat.
are a very good team.
And I think the Chiefs they keep proving that. But I think it's
especially in Arrowhead. I mean, you've got there were so many times in the highlights. If you watch it where the Raiders are having very big difficulty trying audibling the line of scrimmage because of how loud the stadium is.
yeah.
Um,
So isn't it after the Seahawks the loudest stadium?
I know. I thought that this is the loudest stadium.
Oh,
Arrowhead,
okay.
no? Well, I think the loudest sound ever recorded in an NFL stadium was at
Oh.
Arrowhead. I think.
Does that sound Andy Reid getting excited when he saw a donut?
Oh my god! Wow. Come on, that's not even funny. That's just really cheap. I think they make the new record. They make records for being the
Yeah.
loudest, and then they break them themselves. They're just like, whatever, we don't care. Which
They
is
have
pretty impressive.
they'd be one of the. I think it's one of the. I'd say top 10 places I'd like to watch.
Oh, I would
NFL
definitely out of all one of the stadiums I really let go. I'd Soldier Field, Lambeau are up there just because they're
Yeah.
they're so, crazy. I would quite like to go see a game in Seattle. Obviously,
Yeah.
I want to go see the Panthers play.
I'd love to go to Dallas as well.
Yeah, I'd love to go to so many of the teams. Actually, I'd probably listen. Okay, I don't want to go to the Rams because well, it's not. They
I don't want to go to
Stadium.
Tennessee or Jacksonville or Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the Chargers. No, the Tampa Bay because they fire cannons whenever Tampa Bay score a touchdown. I think that's
But the
pretty
stadium
cool.
is so ugly.
Yeah, but they fire cannons though. New Orleans, that'd be crazy. That dome.
Yeah.
The Falcons' new stadium, maybe, but the
Yeah.
current one, not right now. I mean, Foxborough, obviously, I'd love to go to. I've been to a game out of the Meadowlands, so I can kind of cross that off. And then maybe, Washington, meh. Denver,
I don't need to go to work.
Denver.
I would quite like to go to Philly because their fans are really good.
Yeah, they're quite. If they're winning, their fans will love it. I mean,
Yeah.
Denver, I don't know.
It'd be such an effort walking out if you're sat on the top tier. Imagine how out of breath you must be
I know.
by the time you get to the top tier.
So high, but I just don't even know. But I'm not sure. I mean, the Texans, it doesn't excite me that much unless
Yeah.
JJ Watt's on fire. and then they play turn down for what? Because apparently that is really crazy whenever that happens.
I would go to Indianapolis purely just because of the stadium, because it's just a massive house.
You go to the stadium. Yeah, like Tennessee. I don't think I'd go there. The stadium isn't. The Lions. Nah, I'm not that bothered.
I would go to the Lions. I'd
Yeah,
go to
I
a
mean,
Thanksgiving game.
oh yeah, I mean, if you go to a Thanksgiving game, sure. I mean, like if I go to like a Super Bowl played in like the Rams Coliseum, obviously I'd go. Like, anyway, yeah, I think we can move on from this Raiders game, seeing as we've got onto stadiums now.
Yeah. Shall I move on to my? I'll move on to my final game.
Go for it.
So my final game is the Baltimore Ravens went to Foxborough and lost 30-23.
Oh.
So what's this about the Ravens being the jinx team for Tom Brady?
In the playoffs, they are. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, when the playoffs until you get to the Super Bowl, then it's a different team.
No, they. So it was a weird game. Like it wasn't as close as it was made out to be. It was okay. 30-23. They were a score away, but the Patriots were always in control of this game. I felt like for most of the first half they were in control. It was a few silly errors that allowed the Ravens back in this game. Weirdly, like as I was saying earlier, like having coaches that have special teams backgrounds, there was a lot of mistakes on special teams in this game. I think Cyrus Jones.
Yeah, I mean, like there was it basically two scores that the Patriots gave the Ravens.
Yeah, and also Cyrus Jones has fumbled on 4 punt returns this season, so
Maybe
that
not.
was a fun draft pick. I mean, if we're talking about Brady for being MVP, he had 406 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception
Against the Ravens defense as well. I mean, damn.
In terms of ranking, they might not have they have the stars. They got Terrell Suggs and Eric Weddle, but they are technically the best defense in the league, and he completely tore them apart. So yeah, and Chris Hogan had such a good game as well. He had a really good touchdown pass.
I mean, was that a good thing by him, or was that just really botched coverage by the Ravens? I mean,
I'd say both, like one or two, and the fact that I thought it was a bunch of that it was terrible coverage by the Ravens, and plus he had the best quarterback throwing to him.
I really like that interception from Eric Weddle on Tom Brady.
I thought the best was the Malcolm Mitchell touchdown where he was in double coverage.
Yeah, true.
And Brady threw like a low pass right exactly into his hands.
It's just so confusing because like all these wide receivers, like you're like Malcolm Mitchell, and Chris Hogan. I mean, like I hadn't heard of Chris Hogan before this year, and apparently he's been playing for the Bills.
Yeah,
just had maybe I'd seen him on the field once.
Well, I think the only receivers who I could really potentially see being a real success outside New England probably be the 2 tight ends, Martellus Bennett and Gronkowski. Sure.
I mean, we already know that Martellus Bennett can be a success outside New England.
Edelman could maybe be like a Wes Welker type player, but I don't think he could be as successful outside of New England.
I think for New England, if you fit their system, you fit their system perfectly.
Yeah,
and it really works. It's like other wide receivers who's fitting the system really well. I mean, I would have pointed to Malcolm Floyd at this point. I mean, Michael Floyd for the Cardinals, but he's currently no longer a player. So
I mean, and the Patriots are so good at it that they convince the players so much that this is like a system thing, and it's about the team that. They never have cap issues because all the players just never sign for big contracts.
Yeah, and then if you do as well, then Belichick will be like, right, we're trading you to the Browns. See ya, Jamie Collins.
Anyone want some Von Miller money?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What about you, Dante Hightower? Your contract's coming up in this off season. Nah, I'm good. Don't worry, boss.
Well, I saw like a potential rumor that was Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Browns that he makes because I think. That when he hits free agency, he makes a request for some big money and then just straight over to the Browns. They need a quarterback, so.
I mean, like he could hang out at Jamie Collins' house until he gets buys his own one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make a team out of players from the Patriots who left the Patriots and then were never as good.
I'm sure never as good, but just like because the Patriots are always so good.
Yeah.
That like say if when like Chandler Jones going to the Cardinals. Like the Cardinals were a decent team last year. You could be like, fair enough, all right move for him. Like goes good. He
hasn't done that badly as well. He's had quite a few sacks.
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals' defense is obviously one of the best ones in the league. We know that, but it's just a bit of an issue for him. Yeah. Anyway, shall I move on to my
Yeah.
last game? All right. So my last game I'm talking about is the Seattle Seahawks going to the Green Bay Packers into Lambeau to take on Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers threw for 46 yards and 3 touchdowns, whereas his counterpart Russell Wilson didn't have that good game. He threw 1 touchdown for 240 yards and 5 interceptions. I mean, like the highlight reel of this game was like every other highlight was just an interception.
Yeah, that Russell Wilson becoming MVP, I don't think.
I mean, like no way you can go to any team, like especially even the Packers, with like Aaron Rodgers just kind of like fighting for Green Bay to get back into the playoffs. No way you can go to any team, throw 5 interceptions and expect to win a game.
No.
Even if you're like, well, look at our defense is amazing. Your defense didn't get 5 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers didn't throw an interception. Okay, like.
Yeah, but then Aaron Rodgers has really taken this Packers team by the scruff of his neck, and he's literally dragging them into the playoffs.
He's walking them into the. I mean, well, actually, I want to point out one thing. Ty Montgomery, the tight end / they've changed him into a running back this year. Not really sure how this has happened, but he ran for 9 attempts, ran 41 yards and a touchdown for the Packers, and he was even more productive than Christian Michael, the ex-Seahawk, who got cut and picked up by the Packers. And it's just really a really odd, like he's a kind of receiver, like wide receiver, tight end deal person who now the Packers are saying go play at running back and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
and you know how difficult it is to run against that Seattle Seahawks defense because their front seven is also very good. I mean, everyone always talks about the Legion of Boom and that secondary, but that front seven is tough, and it just doesn't seem like the Seahawks are pushing out what they could be right now. Yeah. And they're definitely in. I mean, they're not in trouble. They're gonna win that division for sure. I mean, they're 3 wins off. The Cardinals are 3 wins off them. So the Seahawks pick up a win there in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think there's no, and I think once the Seahawks gets to the playoffs as well, I would still put them as a team who could. I would put as one of the favourites to win the Super Bowl because of just their history. They're one
of the teams that if you're in the playoffs, you got to count them in. Like you know how they can grind out games, and you know how postseason matches are. It's good teams going up against good teams, and like maybe they can maybe be able to throw. Like, say if the Seahawks going against the Falcons, the Falcons can throw like a ton of yards and whatever. But like even against the Seahawks in the regular season, but in this season right now, and then I mean in the playoffs, you know the Seahawks are just different team.
Yeah. You got to remember this was a secondary without Earl Thomas.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but I know Russell Wilson turns on the heat in the playoffs. And he turns into an exceptional quarterback. Yeah. So it's going to be definitely one to not rule out. But he's going
to have to turn the heat on with these Detroit Lions looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, the Lions still have the capability to muck it up and then not take the divisional title. I still think that. I mean, they do have games which are kind of crunch games which they can pretty much lose.
Yeah.
I mean. They do have at the Giants and then at the Cowboys and then they're facing the Packers. I mean, I can see the Packers going to the Detroit in week 17 and picking up the W and the division title.
I beg to differ.
I'm just saying I can see it. Like
I can see it as well, but I
think if the Lions going to win any of these games, it would be this weekend against the Giants. I don't think they could beat the Cowboys in Dallas.
No, that's a tough ask, but I think that if they can win against the Giants, and then I mean they're still 2 games ahead of the Packers as well, and I think they have a better divisional record. So
they're 3-2, and the Packers are 2-1. So they can't, right now, but I mean they have played 2 more games than the Packers.
Yeah,
but yeah, then the Packers definitely maybe making the case for that NFC North, and I can see them popping up in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean it'd be so typical. Like this is just typical Packers. Like a few weeks ago, I was pretty much writing them off, saying, I mean, with that defense, there's no chance they're getting to the playoffs.
True.
And then, lo and behold, Aaron Rodgers turns up.
Right, so we get on to our predictions for this week.
Yes.
Right, we move on straight on to Thursday Night Football. Obviously, Colour Rush. We have the horrible Rams. Actually, I kind of like the Rams Colour Rush uniforms. They look kind of cool.
What is it? I haven't looked at them yet.
It's like that weird, funky, kind of luminous yellow.
Oh, that's quite fun.
And it does look quite cool. I mean, the Seahawks got some weird luminous green going on, which I don't know. I don't know. I still think the when the
Wow.
if you check it out, the Buccaneers their Color Rush uniforms were nice,
Yeah.
so nice. They're all red, look so good. I also like the other week. I think the Cowboys, actually the Packers played in one last week and they were looking fine. Anyway, moving on, the Rams take on the Seahawks in this Color Rush game on Thursday Night Football, and no head coach. Could this be one of those things where you fire your head coach and you bounce back and pick up a win?
No.
Of course, but it is the Rams against the Seahawks. This is like such a classic game where the Seahawks would lose to the Rams, but there's no.
Yeah, but
Jeff
that's only because
Fisher.
Jeff Fisher just enjoyed
Exactly,
winning
yeah.
these games.
All right, so we'll pay. I'm gonna go Seahawks. I'm guessing you're going the same.
Yeah, like
They need to bounce back off.
yeah.
Honestly.
I mean,
Right.
this is a weird scenario because the Rams, yeah, they do always get their win against the Seahawks, but this is a Seahawks team that really needs to win.
There's two games for the in the Sunday night in the night time, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Saturday night football.
There's a Saturday night football. Oh, of course, that's what I'm looking at right now. All right,
Yeah.
so that's Saturday night football this week is the Miami Dolphins going on to take the on the New York Jets. Yeah, I mean I've got the Dolphins in this one, even though without Ryan Tannehill, I still think they're going to pick up the W here.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think Matt Moore isn't as bad as you think he is, and I mean, in terms of the quarterback play in Miami, it's not very complex. They don't rely on the quarterback.
Wow. Okay.
Still find a way
It's true.
to take
It
a
is true.
shot at Tannehill.
Always finding a way. Always finding a way. I think Tannehill is going to lead this team from the sideline for the win. Anyway, moving on to Sunday football. Here we have the longest running rivalry game in NFL, where we have the Green Bay Packers who travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. With the Packers win over the Seahawks last week, and how bad the Bears are, I'm going to go for the Packers.
I'm going to go Packers as well. I think the Bears could maybe make them feel a bit uncomfortable.
True.
at
I mean,
moment.
they did push the game really close against the Lions last week,
Yeah,
for sure. I don't think they can do the same thing against the Packers though.
yeah. I mean, I don't think Matt Barkley is the kind of Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's more of a backup. I heard someone say that Matt Barkley has the potential to have a Brian Hoyer style career.
A
I mean,
Brian
that's-
Hoyer stuff.
That's something to really aspire for.
I mean, like, fair enough. You are being paid
Yeah.
because Brian Hoyer goes around to loads of different teams, but still gets paid.
He still gets a couple million a year, and he's been in the league for a while now.
And like he'll bounce around, being like, "Oh yeah, I'll go the backup to this team. Oh look, he got injured again. How is this happening? I'm starting." Like I don't understand how it does every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I think
He's been to the playoffs as well.
true. Right, Packers though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Packers. Right. The Browns take on the Bills, and after these, Marcel Darius guaranteed that the Bills would not be the first win for the Cleveland Browns. And I've got to agree with him. I don't think the Browns are going to pick up a win here. I think this is their chance. This one or next week is their chance for it, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bills as well. I picked the Browns last week.
I know you put the
It's
Browns
a
to upset.
It's the second time this season I picked the Browns. I'm going to
Right.
stop doing that.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't. Right, moving on. We have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in a matchup. I think the Ravens are home here, and they need to press their foot on the accelerator behind the Pittsburgh Steelers if they're going to pick up a win here. If they're going to pick up the title, divisional title. Sorry. So I've got the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ravens as well. I think the Eagles have got still a lot of issues to deal with on their team, and I think they're going to struggle against. No, I wouldn't say this is I think this Raven team isn't as good as I thought they were after how they played against the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think this Ravens team is definitely still one that if they get into the playoffs, you can't discount them.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, we have the Titans, informed Titans, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs here. even though the Titans are playing really well right now, and I really want the
They
Titans to win
knocked off
that
the
division.
Super Bowl champions.
I really want the Titans to win this division here. But it's going to be difficult for them. And with this game against the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are going to win it. Which, as much as it pains me to say it, but I really want the Titans to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I picked the Titans last week and they won.
Don't know how you did that,
But I feel like this is
no.
it's a step too far. I'm going to go Chiefs as well.
Yeah, it's just like I know it's the thing where you really want to pick the Titans. Like they're a really likable team. But
and I mean, we were looking at Marcus Mariota's stats before we recorded. I mean, he's having
a good season.
Yeah. I mean, him and famous Jameis, I think, when we're talking about, because it didn't. No, Derek Carr didn't go. No, Derek Carr didn't go in that quarterback class. I mean, that quarterback class of famous Jameis and Marcus Mariota. I mean, that's been pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. True. I mean, with those two, obviously number 1 and number 2 pick.
Yeah.
You've got yourself some pretty solid quarterbacks right there. I mean, let me just go over to Marcus Mariota is 5th currently in touchdowns. He's thrown 25 touchdowns for 8 interceptions for the for the Titans. And just think about the Titans receivers. I mean, you've got Delaney Walker there, but like what? Like, how is he doing this? He's having a really good ratio here. And then obviously with how he's a mobile quarterback, you got a very different. Just a very different.
Yeah, I mean, you've essentially got 3 running backs because you've got Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. And then you got to think I mean, if you think really long term, I mean, how the Titans are doing, they have 2 first-round picks next season.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Mariota is thrown for 3,000 yards this season as well, so not too shabby as well. I mean, just on that for DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray's got to be in the shout for comeback player of the year, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm trying to think of other people who would be in who would be in there as well. I mean, Matt Ryan, you could definitely say so.
Yeah, I'd put him in there. Maybe I thought Andrew Luck at one point, but I don't think if the Colts make the playoffs, maybe Andrew Luck. But
yeah, I think it's a stretch for the Titans to make the playoffs, and even a little bit more for the Colts.
Yeah, well, I mean the Titans, they're still top of the AFC South, but they've got some really tough games.
Yeah, they do. It could come down to that Week 17 where the Texans go to the Titans though, which I'm excited for. Anyway, let's move on to our next game. So Steelers at the Bengals. Obviously, this is a crunch game because it's such a rivalry here, and like the Bengals would love to take a chip off of the Steelers to stop their playoff push, and they totally could. They're not in a position to lose anything here. Vontaze Burfict could just hit Antonio Brown again.
Yeah. Do it. I mean, take his whole head off this time.
They honestly could. And I think they would if that would help them.
He's been talking up in the press this week about how he's really, really excited to knock out Antonio Brown.
Oh wow, what a dick! All right, I might have to pick the Bengals here just because they have the capability of causing the upset. And I think they might because they're at home, and I'm picking the Bengals.
Alright, I'm going to go Steelers because I think they always get hot at this time of the year, and I think the Bengals will push them close.
Yeah.
But I think the Steelers they'll find a way to win.
Very interesting game this to watch. Yeah.
If the Bengals can stop Le'Veon Bell, they have a really good chance of winning. But if they don't find it, I mean, you've got to stop him on like 2 different fronts. You've got to stop him as a receiver and a running back.
True.
And that's going to be a tough ask.
Maybe just get Vontaze Burfict on him and just nail him. Right, moving on. The Lions travel to New York to take on the Giants. Which is a pretty important time for both teams here. Lions looking to press forward on the for the NFC North title, and the Giants technically still could win the NFC East, even though they're not going to. And they're still pushing for the playoffs. And I do like the Lions. I do like the Giants. I know this is a weird thing where it's come to be the teams that we don't like.
Yeah.
We're just gonna pick against them. Because you don't like the Giants, I don't really like the Lions. But I do like the Giants, to be fair. And I did pick them to win this division at the start of the year, so I'm going to have to continue with them.
Well, I'm gonna stick with the Lions. I think this is a really interesting matchup. It's kind of a similar matchup to last week, where it was the really good offense against a really good Giants defense. But I think what will tip it in favour of the Lions is their defense. I think is a little bit better than the Cowboys defense, and I think that their defense is like in the last couple of weeks has really stepped up and played really well.
Cowboys defense have that. The Cowboys defense. Sorry, the Giants defense is I think possibly quite good actually. I mean Landon Collins having a great season.
Yeah, And it worries me that every time the Giants win the Super Bowl, it's because they have a really good defense that year.
Maybe.
No.
All right, you got the. I don't think they're going to go for the Super Bowl, but you got the Lions, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Colts at Vikings.
Two teams that need to win.
Adrian Peterson could be back. I don't think so this week. Next week, maybe. But I'm still going to stick in with the Vikings because I kind of wanted a more exciting finish in that NFC North. The Colts, I think they're pushing out of it, and I don't think they'll be getting there. It's gonna be an issue for them, I think.
I could see this being a surprise. I think the Colts will hang around in this game, and I think if we get a scenario where we get to the fourth quarter and then maybe there's just one score in it, I could see Andrew Luck stepping up and winning it. So Colts for me.
All right. The Jaguars go to Texas to play. Well, go to Houston to play the Texans. And I mean the Jaguars are awful. Gus Bradley is pretty terrible. So I'm gonna have to pick the Houston Texans this one.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, not really that much to talk about in that game. Sorry. The Saints at the Cardinals. This is the first of the afternoon games on Sunday. Not that exciting game. And both of these two teams are out of the playoffs already. So I'm just gonna pick the Cardinals in this one. Looking for them to bounce back really. And the Saints, I think they might just peter off towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I could. I'm gonna go Saints in this game. Actually, I think that they have a little bit more. And I think I just like Drew Brees more than a Carson Palmer.
Right. Quickly moving on, we've got the 49ers and the Falcons. Falcons.
Yep.
Yeah, no. Raiders at the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers aren't doing that great. It is a divisional matchup, and the Chargers always bring it in them. But the Raiders definitely need, for me in this one.
Raiders are a really good team. Chargers kind of on the slide at the moment. They've had some pretty shit games the last couple of weeks. So.
Right, and moving on, the first matchup, which is out Peyton Manning between for Tom Brady and the Denver Broncos, going into the Mile Stadium. Important for both teams here. The Broncos really need to keep their playoff hopes alive, but I mean, I've got the Patriots in this one.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the Broncos are really struggling at the moment. They've got a lot of issues, not even on offense, and they're starting to have issues on defense as well. And I think the Patriots, if you show any sign of weakness, they'll find a way to make those weaknesses so bad.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I agree. I think Tom Brady's going to have a lot of fun throwing in that game, even though that secondary is a very good one.
Yeah,
but I'm still expecting him to blow up. Right, the Buccaneers travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are home. Gerald McCoy is going to have a very difficult game stopping the run, along with the rest of our defensive line. So I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys in this one, looking to bounce back after what happened last week.
You know what? Just for the hell of it, I'm going to pick the Bucs in this game.
Oh, okay, nice.
Because I think the Bucs, they could basically do what the Giants did last week, but it's where they have a good defense, and they could just suffocate the Cowboys' offense.
This is the same defense that brought the Seattle Seahawks offense, who was on a roll, to 5 points.
Yeah, and I mean they could very easily do that against the Cowboys. And then you remember on the other side of the ball, I think famous Jameis is a really good quarterback. He'll take his chances, and I mean I think you can put Mike Evans and Odell Beckham Jr. in the same conversation, that you got an elite wide receiver that you got to cover there, and the Cowboys really struggled with it because they haven't got that good a defense. And I think the Bucs could really expose it.
Their secondary could be exposed. Yeah, I mean Mike Evans having a crazy year. I like that bit. It's gonna be an interesting game to watch. Right, moving on to the final game, which is the Monday Night Football, which is Panthers at Redskins. Obviously, this is the Panthers playing against their old player in Josh Norman. The Panthers don't really have anything to play for right now, and the Redskins are still looking for the playoffs, so I've got the Redskins in this one.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that the Redskins need this win more than the Panthers.
Yeah, it's just not one that the Panthers are looking up to get. I mean, it could be it could get good to get to beat him. I mean, as long as we don't throw an interception to Josh Norman, that's all good to me.
What do you think he'll do if he throws an interception? I think he'll.
I have no idea. He might dab. I don't know. I really hope he doesn't, but I'm not sure. It's gonna be an interesting one to see. Right, I think that is it, guys. This week, obviously getting into the crunch time part of the season, very exciting for this. Well, we're excited. I am for this upcoming weekend, and obviously Saturday Night Football. I might watch that. Yeah, I could totally watch that. It's the thing. I
think I might as well. Right. I'm excited. First time this season, we're going to be watching the games together on Sunday.
Oh, that is true. Right, guys. Until next week, then. See ya.